This video is going to be difficult for me. Hi everyone, my name's Jamie, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be explaining why I DNF'd my most anticipated book. You can probably hear my laundry in the background, just ignore that. This is Iron Widow by Xiran Jay Zhao. So I first started watching Xiran's videos early last year when I watched the really big one that kind of blew up and went viral when Mulan 2019, 2020, whatever year that came out, the new live action Mulan came out, because Xiran made a video, I believe it was titled Everything Culturally Wrong with Mulan, and then they made a series of videos of everything culturally right and wrong with all of the Mulan movies. It was a really entertaining thing. Now, Xiran is not a YouTuber in the sense that like they wanted to make YouTube videos as a career. What happened is they made a funny YouTube video about everything wrong with the Mulan live action movie, and it got really big, and they continued making videos, and those videos kept getting big, and Xiran just found a niche that really worked for YouTube, and I really appreciate all of the videos they make. They're very well researched, very entertaining, informative, interesting. Like, it is so great, and I think their humor is so interesting and very funny. It's just a fun video to watch. If you have not looked into Xiran's content before, you definitely should. Xiran's real career that they wanted to have and work on is actually writing. They've always wanted to be a best-selling author. They're very open about this on their social media. And so they came out with Iron Widow. I became aware of Iron Widow through their videos, and so I very quickly put this on my TBR. I totally wanted to read it. So Iron Widow is about a fictional sci-fi fantasy retelling of China's only female empress, Wu Zetian. These are all really original characters. It's more like Xiran just used the names of historical figures and kind of a timeline of their life to kind of plot out the book. So this is basically an original story, even if it's a retelling of Chinese history. They're in a country named Huaxia. In this country, there are giant mecha, I don't really know how to explain them. They're like if you've ever seen Pacific Rim, like mecha contraptions. They're called chrysalis, but they're mecha machinery fighting things that are used to fight the monsters that are attacking the border of this country. These mecha machines are controlled through spiritual power called qi. You need yin and yang qi, so it's necessary to have a male pilot and a female pilot, but the male pilots are always in control of the female pilots, and they use so much of the female pilot's qi that they are almost always killing the female pilot. The female pilot is almost always just a booster for the male pilot, and then they are kind of discarded. The main character, Zetian, is very against this system, and her older sister was actually recently murdered by one of these pilots, and so Zetian decides to enlist in the pilot army as a concubine so that she can avenge her sister by murdering the pilot that murdered her sister. She is found to have so much qi that she's actually scarily powerful, and so they team her up with the only other male pilot that has qi that could outmatch her in order to try and kill her. This guy, Li Shimin, has so much spiritual power that he has killed every female pilot ever that he has been paired up with. There is something called a balanced match, where you find a male and female pilot that have an equal amount of qi and work well together, and so they don't end up killing the female pilot, but that is very rare. Basically, being paired up with Li Shimin means it's a death sentence until Wu Zetian is paired up with him, and she has such spiritual power that she and him actually get along and work well together. The things that really made this book super interesting to me is Xiran is very open about writing a love triangle, like an actual triangle. It's a polyamorous throuple thing. They are very open about that as part of their marketing, that this is a queer retelling of Chinese history and mythology with a polyamorous love triangle. Like, that is how they market this book, which I think is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I was really interested in reading this. So why did I DNF it? Well, I actually got just over halfway through The book, I don't know if you can see, the book is 391 pages. I got to page 255. So let's start with the things that I really liked. First of all, the world building. I thought this world was incredibly creative, and I thought it was super interesting and well put together, and the system was really well defined. How the system works, why the system is bad, what Zetian is doing against the system that is making her so dangerous in their eyes. I thought that was so cool. Very well written, very well put together. Character-wise, I think the characters were very well defined. Their wants and needs were clearly set up, and the conflicts between them were also clearly set up, well defined. I don't know if you can see the colors of my tabs, but all of the blue tabs, you can see how many there are. All of the blue tabs are parts, sections, lines that I thought were really well written, or just really pretty lines, really interesting, something to think about. That's what all the blue tabs are. All the red tabs are like, oh snap moments. Like she would say something, I'd be like, oh snap. And that's what all the red tabs are. And as you can see, there are a lot of red tabs. To be fair, this is a debut novel. I think that Xiran is a talented author, and as they work and develop their craft, I think I will be really interested in seeing their later works. But as of right now, I did not enjoy this book. I know exactly who would enjoy this book. I know my little sibling would love this book. My little sibling would absolutely love this book. They would find all of the bits hilarious, all of it so tense, and I understand exactly who this book is made for, and that just doesn't happen to be me. I actually am going to give this copy to my little sibling after I'm done with it. I don't know if I'm going to take the tabs out though. I might just keep the tabs in because I'm lazy. But anyway, I had this weird disconnect where I could see where the author was being funny, and I thought it was a funny line, but I just didn't find it funny. You know, like in the moment, I didn't laugh. There was this one moment, for example, where they're trying to run away from some like guards, and one guy goes, you can't shoot me, I'm from Central Command, and the other guy runs after him. He's like, well, you can't shoot me, I'm rich. And like, I can see how that's funny. I know, like, I think that's funny. That's a funny line, but like in the moment, I didn't laugh at it. And I don't know why, because there's like this weird disconnect. The disconnect was for everything though. Like I could see when the author was writing this and thinking this scene was very dramatic and tension filled, and like I could see how it was tension filled, but I just did not feel the tension, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm in like a reading slump and I was just trying to push through it, and I just couldn't connect with the book. Maybe it's not for me. It's not the writing style that I jive with. Writing style wise, it's very informal. Feels like your friend is talking to you and telling you a story. That is accentuated by the fact I watch Xiran's videos and I know how they speak. I know the kind of jokes they make, and I know how they say those jokes, and so I could read all of this in their voice, and that was just a bit weird. It's always, that happened with Axiom's End too. I could hear Lindsay Ellis's voice and I was like, I can't read this like you're narrating it to me in my own head like that. I don't like that. So maybe I just can't read YouTuber books. Some other things that I just didn't jive with. I didn't like how everything was kind of black and white. There was no moral grayness. Now, when it comes to the world, yeah, killing women and throwing women away, seeing them as disposable just to boost men's chi, I'm like, yeah, that's an awful thing. But we were never given a reason for why the system would still be intact other than that's just how it is. There was never like an in-world reason for why women have such a lower chi that men are always overpowering them. There was something that Zetian always questioned, like, why are women killed? Why are women put in these situations? Why have we not found a better thing for that? Other than women are just not seen as people in this world. And I feel like if we could have gotten a way to understand why the system would be like this, then we could see Zetian as a more powerful and dangerous person for going against the system, because she is going against what everybody agrees with that might have a reason to agree with it, not just she's going against an obviously flawed system and nobody else is agreeing with her. It's like, we need a reason, not to root for the other side, but a reason for the other side to be like this, for us to understand why they would be against Zitian being so powerful, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. I don't want to humanize the other side for killing women, but I just want a reason for why it is like that and why they are upholding that system, so that there's more tension and it's not just one note. Because obviously I'm going to root for Zitian, and obviously Zitian is going to overcome the system because that's the only way it would work out, right? There's nothing really blocking Zitian from being powerful other than people are afraid of a woman being powerful. Another thing in the moral grayness area is like Li Shimin is introduced to us as a murderer. He is supposed to be this bad, awful, horrifying guy because he killed his entire family at 16. He's implicit in the system. And there are times where you can tell they're trying to keep that moral grayness, trying to keep him this flawed character. But he is always given a reason to side with him. For example, we're told he killed his entire family, and that's, you know, a horrifying sin, patricide, but also like bloodthirsty murderer, right? That's how he was portrayed. And then he reveals that the reason he killed his family is because they were awful people and they were attacking women, and so he had to do it. We as readers are not given time to grapple with that and understand like what he did was really fucked up and bad, but also he did it for a reason that he thought was good. We're just kind of given, he did something bad, oh, he had a good reason for it. Well, it was still bad, but at least he had a good reason for it. And we don't really, there's no gravity to the fact that he killed his entire family, especially since you go into this knowing he's going to be a love interest. Another thing is he is implicit in the murder of several women because, like I said, he has such a powerful chi that he takes the lives of every concubine he's had until Zitian, right? And Zitian points this out multiple times that he is implicit in this system, and yet we're also never really given, because we know he's going to be a love interest. I could guess at some point he's either going to be forgiven or going to have like a Zuko moment and atone for his past behaviors. He really felt like a caricature of the I'm nice to people who deserve it, but I beat everyone up, because he would like really throw hands with everyone, especially anybody who laid a hand on Zetian. But I was like, I kind of need more from him as a character before I allow him to just be this violent guy. I don't mind the I hate everyone but you trope or relationship dynamic. It was too one note of I'm a creepy, violent, dark person, except for with you I actually have a very soft side. Like, I don't know, it wasn't working for me. The whole thing is that they have this like polyamorous throuple. Now, I don't mind when two characters are introduced as already having feelings for each other. I don't count that as insta-love, because even if it's off page, I'm like, okay, I can accept that they have a history. They like each other. I like being able to see and watch the characters fall in love on page, but I can understand, oh, they have a history. So Zitian and Easy have a history together. They've already been meeting for several months now, and they have fallen in love, right? They like each other. And then Zitian and Li Shimin have like a thing where they don't like each other at first, but they have to work together, and so through that they find that they like each other and enjoy each other's company, at least. But it very much seemed like Yuzi and Li Shimin had like insta-love attraction, because they are introduced to each other, and then Zitian is talking about how she sees them basically cuddling in her hospital room, and I'm like, okay, if we're gonna do not a complicated, but like an interesting polyamory love triangle, I would like to see the complexities of that relationship and them all falling in love together. Like, that's what I was interested in, is them all falling in love together, confessing feelings to each other. So why did I DNF instead of just finishing the book, especially since I had so little of it left? because I just wasn't interested in it. Like I said, I was kind of pushing through a reading slump. I kind of knew where it was going. There was nothing really mysterious or interesting enough for me to want to keep reading. There were no things that were unanswered. I knew that Zetian was going to rise to a powerful position. I didn't really need to see all the battles she had to get there. I knew that there was going to be a love triangle. I didn't necessarily need to see, especially since it didn't seem like it was going to be a particularly complex or interesting romance, I didn't need to see the romance when I knew that they were going to all at some point confess their feelings for each other. I didn't feel connected to the characters, and I didn't feel connected to the story, and like I said, there wasn't like a mystery to be the through line to the end of the story. It just felt like Wu Zetian was facing a lot of hardships and then had to rise against the ranks and prove herself. And those kind of stories don't really interest me, so I didn't finish the book. I was on my lunch break today, and I usually like to read during my lunch break, and I was on TikTok. And I was like, I would rather be on TikTok than finish this book, even though I could probably have finished it within my lunch break. So I decided I was just not going to finish it. I was going to quit while I was ahead. Like I said, I would love to continue to read Xiran's works as they develop as a writer. And I do think that this and their other middle grade book is going to get a lot of people interested in Chinese mythology. You know how people cite like Percy Jackson as their like catalyst for getting into Greek mythology? I think Zhao's work is going to be that for Chinese mythology, because obviously it is very well researched. I think they are a historian, like that's what they studied, maybe, I'm not exactly sure. But their entire YouTube and social media presence is about Chinese history and in mythology. So I think this series and a lot of their work, specifically their Zachary Yang middle grade series, is going to be the reason a lot of people get into Chinese mythology and history. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see as a trend, hopefully. They are a talented author. I mean, I liked their writing. This writing style wasn't exactly for me. Like I said, I don't like the informality of it. I would prefer more purple prose because that's just how I am. But that's, you know, they're not writing directly for me. They're writing for, you know, their enjoyment. And I know exactly who would love this kind of book. My little sibling would love this kind of book. So there's an audience for it, and maybe you like that kind of writing. It wasn't for me. Maybe their next book will be. Did you like the book? If you did or if you didn't, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Okay, bye! Stop. You're a fucking idiot. You need to stop. Oh my god.